all, welcome back. So we are starting off with the second semester of B.Ed, that is Educational Psychology Theory and Practice subject. First unit, that is Introduction to Educational Psychology. So let us see the first question. Define educational psychology. Explain the meaning and nature of educational psychology. So education and psychology, as you see here, are very closely related fields. They both are related to each other. So what does education do? What is the role of education? It aims at bringing desirable changes in the behavior of the learner. While psychology, what is the function of psychology? It will study the human behavior and the mental processes. So education will aim at bringing changes in the student, and psychology will tune the or develop the mind. Okay, psychology is related to the mind. So educational psychology combines these two disciplines and applies psychological principles, that is mind related principles, into educational situations. Okay, so various definitions are given by various psychologists, various eminent psychologists like B.F. Skinner, Charles E. Skinner, and Crow, James Driver. So you can go through all these definitions, but the main idea is both of them go hand in hand. Meaning of educational psychology, we have already seen. It has two terms, educational psychology. Education is a process of developing knowledge, skills, attitudes, habits, values, and personalities, whereas the psychology is a scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Okay, scientific study of the mind in simpler terms. Okay, so educational psychology overall provides scientific knowledge about learning, growth and development, intelligence, personality, motivation, memory, attention, classroom behavior, individual differences, evaluation, assessment. What is the nature of educational psychology? First thing, educational psychology is a science. Okay, it follows various scientific methods like observation, experimentation, survey, interviews, case studies, etc. Okay, and then it is an applied science. It is not only a science, it is an applied science. That is, it purely relies on application. Okay, it is not merely theoretical. Okay, it applies the principles onto real life situations. Okay, then it studies human behavior, like how students learn, what they learn, why they forget, and why they behave differently. It also focuses on learning. So educational psychology's central aspect is learning. Okay, then you can see here Ivan Pavlov, Edward Thorndike, B.F. Skinner, they have contributed significantly to this learning process. Okay, and it is concerned with growth and development. Okay, Jean Piaget explained the stages of cognitive development. Now, in the further chapters, you will learn about all the theories proposed by these eminent psychologists like Ivan Pavlov, Jean Piaget, etc. in detail. And just remember one thing, that all these contributions of these psychologists are very important for any teaching related exams like CTET or TET, all these DSC. So all these teaching related exams, you have to learn the theories proposed by the scientists perfectly to score good marks in the paper. Okay, it recognizes individual differences. Okay, no student is similar to other student. Every student is different in his or her way. So what are the areas of differences in students? Intelligence, aptitude, interests, personalities, learning styles, and achievement levels. So here Francis Galton, he emphasized on the study of individual differences. They might ask you, like, for example, who is the scientist who emphasizes the study of individual differences? They will give you four options: Ivan Pavlov, Edward Thorndike, B.F. Skinner, and Francis Galton. Which one will you take? You will take Francis Galton. It is dynamic and progressive. Okay, that means it keeps on changing. It continuously develops as new research findings emerge. As the research progresses, the educational psychology also evolves from time to time. Okay, modern developments include cognitive psychology, humanistic psychology, constructivism, educational technology. See, technology also came into um, existence. Then artificial intelligence in education. These were all not there previously. Now, as the research has been going on, all these also newly came out. That means it is dynamic. It is child centered. Okay, the traditional education, as we already know, is teacher centered. That is, a teacher plays the main role. Whatever teacher tells, students should blindly listen to it. Okay, but the modern educational psychology places the learner at the center of the teaching learning process. That means the teaching learning process should happen according to the wish and will of the learner, according to the interests of the learner. Okay, so who is the scientist who contributed to child-centered education? John Dewey. Okay, it helps in solving, the next one is it helps in solving educational problems. So what are the various problems which are generally seen in education? Poor achievement, lack of motivation, then classroom discipline, learning disabilities, and anxiety during examination. Okay. Um, the next nature is it is both positive and perspective. Okay. Though it has all these negative points, it also educational psychology also has some positive aspects. That means it will describe how learning actually occurs. And then what is a perspective aspect? It suggests how teaching should be organized for effective learning. That means it will point out to some perspective. Okay. Then it is interdisciplinary in nature. It is not just a single subject. It is a culmination or combination of various subjects like psychology, education, sociology, biology, philosophy, and neuroscience. So all these subjects put together are is educational psychology. Then it promotes effective teaching. Okay, it helps teachers to select suitable methods. It will help teachers to understand the learners. It will help teachers to improve classroom management and evaluate the learning outcomes. So these are all the this is a major contribution of psychologists in educational psychology area. Just go through all these scientists' names and what is their contribution. Now, what is the educational implications of educational psychology? That is how it will directly help in education. It will help the teacher understand the learner behavior, identify individual differences, select appropriate teaching methods, motivate learners effectively, and it will improve classroom management. It will also help teachers to develop suitable curriculum. Okay, it will conduct meaningful evaluation and it will promote holistic development of students. The next question is explain the scope of educational psychology. Okay, as we already know, educational psychology is a branch of psychology that deals with human behavior in educational settings, in educational situation. Okay, it will understand the learner, learning process, and teaching methods. Okay, then this is the scope of educational psychology. Okay, that means how far can educational psychology go? Okay, the scope of educational psychology includes the scientific study of learner. First, studying the learner or the student. Then the learning process. Okay. Then teaching methods, growth and development of students, motivation, intelligence, personality, classroom behavior, individual differences, mental health, guidance and counseling, measurement and evaluation. So, educational psychology covers 360 degrees of teaching and learning process. It will not leave any aspect of teaching learning process uncovered. It will evaluate the teacher. It will deal with the teacher teaching process and it will also deal with students and their learning processes. Also, it is not only superficial, it is also internal. That means, see, um, it will see the mental health of the students. Okay, the physical health of the students. It's also internal study, not only external. Scope of educational psychology, we have seen studying the learner. That means studying of the student. So, how, in what ways the students are being studied? Physical development of the student, mental development, emotional development, social development, and moral development. So, these are the areas that are being studied in a particular student. So, what did the eminent psychologist Jean Piaget contribute? He he identified that every children will pass through four different stages in cognitive development: sensory motor, preoccupy operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. In the coming chapters units, we will see the clear explanation of all these four stages. But for now, you remember that Jean Piaget has divided the students' mental growth into four different stages. Now, what are its educational importance? It will help the teachers select suitable teaching methods uh, according to the developmental stage of the student. Then prepare age appropriate learning experience. Avoid unrealistic expectations. Okay. What does unrealistic expectation mean? If a student is able to reach a certain level, the teacher will only give assignments, or only only make teaching materials up to that level only. Okay, she will not expect something more, or she will not expect something that the student cannot do. Okay, that is unrealistic expectations. The teacher should teach to the capacity of the student, not more or not less. Okay. Mm, Then second one is, first is study of the learner. Then study of growth and development of the learner. Okay, educational psychology is studies how children will grow physically and mentally. Okay, physical development includes change in height, weight, motor skills, body structure, etc. Cognitive development means mind related development, which includes thinking, reasoning, problem solving, creativity. Emotional development includes feelings, emotions, self confidence. Okay, such kind of aspects. Then social development is cooperation, friendship, leadership, all these qualities. Then moral development includes development of values, ethics, right and wrong judgment. Okay. And then Eric Erikson contributed a lot to the uh, psychological development through 8 stages. Now, Jean Piaget, 4 stages. Eric Erikson, 8 stages. Okay. His theory helps teachers understand the students' emotional and social needs. Jean Piaget, uh, he explained the different stages children pass through. Then Eric Erikson, he explained the emotional and social needs of students. Please remember these names, very, very important. The next one is studying of learning process. Okay, the main central aspect of education psychology is learning. So, this education psychology will study how learning occurs, what are the various conditions for learning, factors affecting learning, learning difficulties. Then there are many learning theories which are proposed by many eminent psychologists, which includes classical conditioning theory, Ivan Pavlov. This will tell that learning occurs through association, that is, associating something with some known thing will promote learning. You will see all these theories in detail in the next chapter. Okay, next unit, the coming unit. Then trial and error learning proposed by Edward Thorndike. Then insight learning proposed by Wolfgang Kohler. Okay, so these are all the various learning theories which are proposed by various psychologists. And study of individual differences. Okay, educational psychology mainly recognizes that no two learners are alike. Every learner, every student is different. Okay, so these are the areas where students differ. like intelligence, interest, aptitude, personality, learning speed, and creativity. So what has Francis Galton done? He emphasized the differences among the individuals. Okay. Study of individual differences. This one is repeated from the previous slide. You can just ignore it. The next one is study of intelligence. Okay. So it educational psychology will study the nature of intelligence, how to measure the intelligence, development of intelligence. So Alfred Binet was a psychologist who developed the first intelligence test. And what's the contribution of Howard Gardner? Okay, he proposed multiple intelligences like linguistic, logical, musical, spatial, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, then naturalistic intelligences. Then the next aspect is the study of motivation. Education psychology also studies the motivation. Motivation is a force that stimulates it is a force that will stimulate or that will make a person to act. So it will study educational psychology will study intrinsic motivation. That is a motivation that comes from within. Then extrinsic motivation, that is external motivation. Then achievement motivation, the motivation that you get after achieving something. Okay. Abraham Maslow, he proposed that human needs influence motivation. Okay, that means you get motivation based on your needs. Okay, his hierarchy includes physiological needs, that is bodily needs, safety needs, love and belongingness. So love and belongingness is also a need, according to Abraham Maslow. Then esteem needs, that means if you have to be motivated, you would require something. Then self-actualization, that is realizing of one's self. Okay. Then study of attention and interest. So motivation is one aspect. And then the other aspect is attention and interest. So what is attention? It is a concentration of mental activity on a particular object. Then what is interest? Paying attention to a specific activity. Okay. Attention means concentration. Interest is paying attention to a specific activity or object. Okay. Now, then study of memory and forgetting. Memory is ability to retain and recall information. Forgetting the inability to remember the learned information. Whatever we have learned, the inability to remember the learned information. So Hermann Ebbinghaus, he has developed the forgetting curve. Okay, he has done the research on how people forget. Okay, then the next one is study of personality. Okay, that is personality development, personality traits, personality assessment. Okay, what did Carl Jung contribute in this field? He introduced the concept of introversion and extroversion. Introvert is a person who doesn't mingle with others. Extrovert is a person who overly mingles with others. Okay, then study of mental health and adjustment. Okay, uh, education psychology studies emotional stability, stress, anxiety, and various adjustment problems. Okay, so teachers can identify emotional disturbances, behavioral problems, and learning difficulties of students. Then study of guidance and counseling. Guidance and counseling also is a very important aspect of educational psychology. Okay, guidance means helping learner make the right choices. What is counseling? Helping learners solve their own problems, which may be personal or educational. Okay. Then study of teaching methods. Okay. It will education psychology will help in selecting effective teaching methods for teaching. Example, lecture method, demonstrative method, project method. Various teaching methods are there. So John Dewey contributed a lot in this field. Study of classroom management, that is classroom discipline, teacher-student relationship, group behavior, etc. Study of measurement and evaluation. This involves preparing tests, measuring achievements, assessing the intelligence of a particular student, then evaluating the learning outcomes. Study of exceptional children. Exceptional children are of various kinds, like gifted children. Gifted children means those children which have exceptional or very high abilities. Then slow learners. That means students who learn at a very slow pace. Then children with disabilities. Okay, all these are exceptional children. So educational psychology will help in the study of exceptional children. Then study of educational technology. This is the modern part of educational psychology. That is computer assisted learning, then online learning, multimedia instruction, digital classrooms. Then study of research in education. How can research activities be conducted in educational field? That is observation, survey, experimentation, case study, interviews. Okay, all this will help in conducting various research activities. Okay. So educational psychology will include learner, learning, growth and development. This we have seen in the first slide. Okay. List out the functions of educational psychology. So you know the definition of educational psychology by now. So the functions of educational psychology means the work performed, role played, and the purpose served by a subject. That is the students or teachers. Okay. What are the functions of educational psychology? First, understanding the learner. Then facilitating learning. That is providing the environment for learning. Then improving teaching. Then solving educational problems, guiding student development, evaluating educational outcomes. So these are the main functions of educational psychology. Okay, first function is the function of understanding the learner. So understanding the learner in terms of intelligence, interest, ability, aptitude, learning style, personality, attitude, and background experiences. So it will help the teachers understand why the students behave differently and why some students learn quickly while others learn slowly. Why some students are active while others are passive. Why some students are highly motivated while others show very less interest in learning. Okay. Now, because of this, the teacher can understand that the teacher can provide appropriate guidance, plan suitable learning activities, maintain better teacher-student relationship, and improve classroom participation. The second function is the function of understanding the growth and development of the student. Growth and development in the areas of physical development, mental development, emotional, social, and moral. It will help the teachers know what children will learn at a particular age and what teaching methods are suitable for that particular age and what are the realistic expectations that teachers should have on students. Okay. Then function of understanding the learning process. Okay, that means nature of learning, laws of learning, conditions of learning, and various factors that affect learning. Then learning difficulties. So it will help teachers understand how learning takes place, why learning takes place, why learning fails sometimes, and how learning can be improved. So some important contributions were done to this understanding the learning process by Ivan Pavlov, Edward Thorndike, and B.Ed Skinner. Okay. Functions of understanding the individual differences. So a teacher must understand that no two students are or individuals are same. Okay, they differ in all these aspects. Okay, so educational psychology will help the teachers understand the individual differences among students. Then functions of improving teaching methods. What should be taught? How it should be taught? When should it be taught? Why should it be taught? So all these questions education psychology will answer. Okay. It will make the teacher select suitable teaching methods like lecture method, discussion, demonstration method, project method, activity method, problem solving method, etc. Then motivating learners is another important function. Okay, motivation is a force that stimulates an individual or a student to act and achieve the goals. Okay, so it will help the teachers understand the source of motivation and various types of motivation and techniques of motivation. So as we already know, there are two types of motivation: intrinsic motivation that arises from within the learner, and extrinsic motivation that arises from external factors or rewards. Then function of understanding intelligence. So intelligence also is not the same among students. Okay, educational psychology will mainly study the nature of intelligence. What kind of intelligence is it? Measurement of intelligence. How much intelligence a student has. Development of intelligence and how to improve the intelligence. Okay, it will help the teachers identify gifted students. It will help the teachers to recognize the slow learners, plan suitable instructional activities, and provide educational support. Okay, and then function of understanding the personalities. Okay, personality can include habits, attitudes, interests, emotional characters, and social behavior. Then function of maintaining classroom discipline, very very important discipline. Okay, a peaceful and disciplined classroom is very much essential for effective learning. So educational psychology will help the teachers understand what are the causes of misbehavior and what are the various emotional problems faced by students, then adjustment difficulties and group behavior. Function of improving memory and reducing forgetting. Okay, so all these answers up till now are almost the same. Okay, that means the previous second question and the first question, almost there are a lot of similarities between all the answers, so you can correlate and write the answers in the exam. Okay, so what is memory? Ability to retain and recall information. What is forgetting? The inability to remember the information we have seen in the previous answer. So it will help in improving memory and reducing forgetting. Okay, Hermann Ebbinghaus, he has conducted research on this memory and forgetting aspect. Then function of curriculum development. Okay, curriculum development is very important when concerned with schools and educational process. Okay, the curriculum should consider learners' interests, needs, abilities, and various developmental stages. Then function of guidance and counseling. Okay, you know, guidance means it will helping learners make proper educational and vocational choices. Vocational means future choices. Then counseling, it helps learners to solve personal, social, emotional, and academic problems. Then function of measurement and evaluation. This measurement and evaluation means it includes tests, assessment techniques, and evaluation procedure. Okay. Then functions of understanding exceptional children. Exceptional children may be gifted children, slow learners, children with disabilities, and children who require special educational needs. Then functions of educational research. Okay. So it promotes scientific research in education. Okay, like by using various methods like observation, survey, experiment, interview, case study, questionnaire. You've seen all this in previous uh, answer. Then function of predicting the learner's behavior. Okay, it will help teachers to predict academic achievements, learning difficulties, behavioral tendencies, and future educational performance. It helps in prediction. Then function of creating effective learning environments. That is, the learning environment of the particular student should be safe, democratic. Democratic means the students must be allowed to speak. It should be inclusive. It should be cooperative and learner centered. How does educational psychology help teachers? Explain the role of educational psychology in teaching and applications of educational psychology to teachers. Okay, so teaching, as we know, it is not simply the process of delivering information from teacher to student. That is, it is not simply teaching. It involves scientific, systematic, learner-centered, and goal-oriented process. So it is a very systematic process. A successful teacher must understand not only the subject of matter but also the learner. A teacher should not only focus on the subject, but she should also put her focus on the learner or the student, the learning process, and various factors that influence the learning. So, what are the three major areas that a teacher should focus apart from the subject, learner, learning process, and various factors that influence learning? So, this understanding is provided by educational psychology. Okay, educational psychology is often called as the scientific foundation of teaching. So, what is the role of educational psychology in teaching? It is the contribution that psychology makes in improving teaching and learning process. Okay, so educational psychology will help teachers understand the learners, improve teaching methods, solve classroom problems, and create effective learning environment and achieve educational objectives. Now, educational psychology will help teachers. So it will help teachers understand the learners. Okay, the differences which are present in each learner. Differences in aspect of, we have already seen, intelligence, interest, aptitude, attitude, learning styles, personality, and background experiences. It will help teachers understand why students behave differently, why some students learn quickly, why some students face difficulties while learning, and why some students show more interest than others. It will help teachers understand the growth and development. Growth and development in terms of physical development, cognitive development, emotional development, and social development. Then it will help teachers understand the learning process. That is, how learning occurs, why it occurs, what are the factors that are affecting learning, and the conditions necessary for learning. It will also help learning theories, principles of learning, and what are the difficulties and challenges of learning, and what are the ways to improve learning. It will help teachers recognize individual differences in the students. Then it will help teachers select suitable teaching methods based on the age, subject matter, learning objectives, and individual differences. So a teacher can choose various teaching methods like lecture method, demonstration method, project, discussion, activity method, problem solving method, etc. based on the needs of the student. It will help teachers motivate the learners. Okay, motivation is very important for a particular learner to progress. Okay, what is the nature of motivation, source of motivation, and methods of motivation? A teacher will be able to focus on this nature, source, and methods. Then it will help teacher maintain classroom discipline, which is very important. Then it will help teachers to understand intelligence, that is various intelligence levels of students, and it will help teachers to measure that intelligence. Okay, it will help teachers to understand the personality in terms of habits, attitudes, interests, emotional characteristics, social behaviors of the student. It will help teacher improve memory and retention, okay, of the student. Okay, educational psychology will help teachers evaluate the students effectively, like what are the strengths and weaknesses of that particular student. It will help teachers develop and implement curriculum. Implementing curriculum and developing curriculum are very important. Okay, the curriculum should be developed based on learners' needs, interests, abilities, and developmental stages. It will help teachers provide guidance and counseling. Okay, educational, vocational, personal guidances a teacher can provide. It will help teachers to understand exceptional children. Okay, exceptional children can be either gifted or slow learners. Okay, it will help teachers promote mental health and adjustment of students. Mental health in terms of anxiety, stress, emotional problems, and any difficulties faced in adjustment. It will help teachers become scientific and professional educators. That means teachers use scientific methods in their teaching. These are the various applications of educational psychologist to teacher. And this is an exam tip since it has many points. I have given a small, recap of the answer. You can go through. Then the next one is define method, and what is survey method and why is it used. So in educational psychology, various methods are used to enhance teaching learning process. So one such method, so basically a method is a systematic organized procedure that is used to collect information and studying a particular problem. So there are many methods which are used in educational psychology to improve the teaching learning process, like observation method, interview method, questionnaire, case study, survey, experimental method. So among this method, survey method is widely used. Okay. What is survey method? The word survey means to investigate or examine something very carefully and intricately. Okay. Survey method, it collects information from a large number of individuals regarding their opinions, attitudes, interests, experiences, habits, or problems. So, all kinds of issues can be gathered from the survey method. Okay. The information is generally collected using questionnaires, interviews, schedules, or opinionaires. Opinionaires is nothing but finding opinions of the participants. Okay. So survey method is a method of collecting information from a group of people to study a particular problem. What are the characteristics of survey method? Survey method is a scientific method. It is not simply, based on word of mouth. Scientific proofs are there for the survey method. It is used for large scale study. Okay. It is descriptive in nature. Then it is a flexible method and it is a fact finding method. Why is survey method used? It is used to study the learners with respect to interest, attitude, study habits, and learning difficulties. It is used to understand various educational problems like dropout, students being continuously absent to classes, examination stress, and poor academic achievement. It is used to collect information from large groups. It is used to study opinions and attitudes. It is used in improving educational planning and it is used in conducting educational research. So what are the steps used in survey method? First, the problem is identified. Next, then the objectives, what one wants to achieve from the survey method is fixed. Then selection of sample, that is selection of the group of participants. Then preparing various tools to proceed with the survey. Then collecting of data, analysis of the collected data, then interpretation of the data, then finally report writing. What are the advantages? It covers a large population. It is economical. It saves a lot of time. It is used in educational research and it helps in planning. What are its limitations? It depends on honesty of the responses. Okay, the responses must which are given should be honest. Otherwise, there is no use of survey method. Okay, then there is a possibility of bias, that is personal opinions may come into picture. It is difficult to verify the information and it provides limited depth. It will not give deep analysis of the problem. Okay, this is the educational importance. It helps to understand the learners in a better way. It helps to identify educational problems, improve teaching practice, develop educational policies, and plan educational programs and conduct educational research effectively. What is observation? Define observation. What are the different types of observation? Explain the advantages and limitations of observation method. Observation method is the oldest, simplest, and most widely used method. Observation, we keep on observing things in our day-to-day life. Okay, so it is the most widely used method in educational psychology. Okay, human behavior can be better understood by watching the individuals in their real life situation rather than asking questions. If you ask questions, they might tell the correct thing or they might not tell the correct thing. But when you observe directly, you will get the first-hand information. Okay, so basically counselors use observational study to observe the behavior, attitude, interests, emotions, habits, and interactions of the learners. Okay, observation means carefully watching and recording the behavior as it occurs. Okay, so this is a teacher notices that a students remain silent during classroom discussions and avoids participation in various activities. So, only by observing, a teacher will know this attitude of that particular student. What are the characteristics of observation method? Direct study. It is direct. Whoever is observing, the teacher will directly observe. It is a first-hand information. Okay. It is systematic process. It is an objective method. Okay. Whereas survey method is a descriptive method. This observation method is an objective method. Then it the behavior of a student is observed in his real life situations, and it is useful for children. Okay, children who are not able to express themselves freely. So what are the types of observations? Direct observation. In this, the observer personally watches the behavior of the individuals. Okay, teacher directly observing the students during classroom activity. Okay, then controlled observation. If this observation takes place under careful, controlled, and planned situations, whereas direct observation is not planned. Controlled observation that happens under planned situations. Okay, example, psychologist places student in a specific learning situation to observe how they solve their problems. Then the next one is group observation. In group observation, the whole group is observed rather than a particular individual. Then standardized observation. It is observation which is conducted using particular standards, or particular set of data is already pre-mentioned. Based on that particular standards or set of data, the observation is carried on. Like checklist, rating scales, or schedules. Okay. Based on the checklist, they will be observing. So these four types of observations are very commonly used. There are some other types of observations also which are being used. They are natural observation. The observation that is done in the natural environment of the student without any interference. Okay, like for example, observing children when they are playing in the playground. Then non-participant observation, like the observer remains separate from the group. Example, a teacher watches students at a distance during activities, like a teacher gives students certain group activity. Teacher will stand outside the group and teacher will observe the activities which are going on in that particular group. Then what are the steps in observation method? First, define the purpose. What is the purpose of the observation? Next, select the individual or groups. Then you have to plan the observation. Then you have to conduct the observation very carefully. Then you have to record observation. Simply observing in air is not going to uh, do anything. You have to record whatever you have observed, because there is always a chance of forgetting. Then analyze the recorded data. Then draw conclusions. Okay, interpret the data. What are the advantages of observation method? It is direct study, first-hand information you will get. When it provides first-hand information, it is useful for studying children who are not able to express themselves. It studies natural behavior. There is no dependence on memory. The information is recorded as and when it is observed, and it is used for illiterate individuals. It helps in understanding social interactions. It provides rich and detailed information. What are the limitations? There is always bias. Then it is time consuming. Then the behavior of the students may change, keep on changing. Then there is limited scope. Okay. Only whatever the observer sees superficially, that only he can record. No, he cannot, see, he does not know the inner feelings, or inner motive, inner thoughts of that particular student. So it is only superficial level. Okay, it is difficult to study large groups and lack of complete objectivity. Okay, that means different a particular student is taken and one observer observes one thing in that particular student. Now another observer will come and he will observe something else. So there is lack of objectivity. The different observers may observe different things, may interpret one particular behavior in a different way. Okay, it requires skilled observers. Okay, so this is the educational importance. Next question is write a short note on introspection method. Explain its definition, characteristics, advantages, and limitation. So it is introspection method is one of the oldest methods used in psychology. Uh, so this introspection method is basically used to study the mental processes. Okay, what does introspection means? Intro means within. Spencer, Spencer means to look. Introspection means to look within oneself. Okay, this method is widely used by psychologists to study experiences like thinking, feeling, emotions, sensations, desires, and perception. So, whatever is related to thinking from within, that is introspection. So introspection is nothing but it is a process of observing and examining one's own mental processes. Okay, that is his or her own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and experiences. Okay, so introspection method is a method by which a person observes and reports his own mental processes. Okay, example, a student will receive very low marks in examination. So the student will ask himself, and he gets very low marks in examination and he's feeling very sad. So he will ask himself, why am I feeling sad? What is the cause of this disappointment? Was I afraid during the examination or did I prepare properly? So he is asking himself. That is self-examination. So the next one is characteristics of introspection method. First is self-observation. That is an individual observes his own mental activities. Then study of inner experiences which include thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires and attitude. Then it is a subjective method. That is, it is based on personal experiences. It is the direct study of conscious experience. That means it studies the experiences directly as and when they occur in the mind. It requires self-awareness. Okay, that means a person should know oneself. And then it deals with mental processes. That is the internal psychological experiences rather than external behavior. What are the steps of introspection method? First, one should experience a mental state. That means an individual should experience feeling, thought, or emotion. Then he should observe that. Okay, whatever feeling, thought, or emotion he gets, he should observe it. He should analyze it. And then the last step is should report it. What are the advantages of this method? It is simple and easy. It is direct study of one's own mental processes. And it is useful in understanding personal experiences. It is an economical method and it is the foundation for early psychology. So whenever you want to deal with any psychological processes, first you have to start with introspection. It promotes self-knowledge and helps in self-improvement. What are the limitations of this method? It is highly subjective. That means it is um, it experiences a lot of bias. It lacks objectivity. That means the results that are obtained cannot be verified easily by others. And it is not suitable for children because children cannot, they don't have the ability of thinking inwards. So it cannot be used for children, only for adults. Then it cannot study unconscious processes. That is, any process that occurs outside the conscious awareness. The results may be inaccurate or like the people might forget or misinterpret their experiences. It is difficult to observe mental states while experiencing them. That means when a person is experiencing a strong emotion, it is very difficult to, observe inwards. Okay. Example, a person who is in a very angry state, he might not be able to analyze the anger at the same moment. Okay. And it lacks scientific reliability. The next important method is the experimental method. Okay. Experimental method is important and it is a scientific method that is used in educational psychology. It is used to study the cause and effect relationships. Okay, what is an experiment? An experiment deals with the cause and the effect of the cause. So this method also in the same way, it is used to study the cause and effect relationships between various variables. Unlike the survey method, this experimental method will allow the research to control the conditions and determine how one's own factors influence the others. See, in survey method, we are doing the survey in natural conditions, whereas in experimental methods, we are controlling all the conditions, all the surrounding conditions. Okay, so in this method, we get accurate, reliable, and measurable results, unlike the others. Okay, so what is the meaning of this method is, it is a scientific method in which the researcher studies the effect of one variable and another under controlled conditions. Controlled conditions is very important. Okay, so what is the example? Does the use of audio visual aids improve learning? Okay, so this is a example. Okay, so in this experimental method, the teacher divides the students into two groups. One is the experimental group, other is a control group. Okay, so in experimental group, students are taught using audio visual aids. Okay, in the control group, students are taught without the audio visual aids. That is a traditional way of teaching. So after the teaching is done for both the groups are tested. Okay. If the experimental group, that is the group with the audio visual aids, perform better, then the teacher will conclude that the experimental group has improved in the learning. Okay. This is the experimental method example. What are the characteristics of experimental method? It is a scientific method and it is carried out under controlled conditions. It is an objective method. Objective method means the results which are obtained are observable and they can be measured accurately. And it determines the cause and the effect relationship among the variables. It helps in verification of the hypothesis. Okay. Then the results which are obtained are accurate and reliable. So what are the important concepts in this experimental method? First, there should be a variable. Variable is, as the name itself suggests, it is any factor that keeps on changing. Okay, that is intelligence, motivation, teaching methods, study habits. These all are not constant. Okay, they keep on changing. Okay, depending upon the conditions. Then the second important uh, concept of this experimental method is independent variable. Okay, these variables are divided into two types: independent variable and dependent variable. Independent variable is the factor or the variable that is changed by the researcher. Example, use of audio visual aids. Okay, the researcher will control and change this factor. So this factor, the independent variable, is there in the researcher's hand. Okay. Then the next variable is dependent variable. Okay. This factor is affected by the independent variable. This dependent variable will not change on its own, but the change of independent variable will cause a change in the dependent variable. Example, student achievement. Student achievement. Okay. So the achievement depends upon the teaching method used. If the teacher changes the teaching method, then this achievement also may vary. Okay, but this achievement is dependent on this teaching method. Okay, this is an example. Then the one more important concept is experimental group. That this is a group that on which the experiment is conducted. Then control group. Okay, the group that does not receive the experimental treatment. That means this is the group that remains constant. Okay. Hypothesis. Hypothesis is nothing but the assumption made before the research activity is conducted. Okay. Example, even before the research activity is conducted, the researcher might make an assumption that students who are taught with the audiovisual aids will perform better than the students who are taught without. Okay, then afterwards, at the end, after the whole research is conducted, then it is proved whether it is right or wrong. But in the beginning, before starting the research, an assumption is made. That assumption is nothing but the hypothesis. Okay, what are the steps in experimental method? First, identify the problem. Then you have to formulate the hypothesis. Hypothesis is, as I have already told you, it is the assumption. Okay. Then you have to select the participants for the experimental method. Then formation of experiment and control groups. Okay. Okay, you have to divide the students into experiment and control groups. Then you have to control the variables. Then the next step is you have to administer the treatment. That means you have to start the procedure. Then you have to observe and collect the data. Then you have to analyze the data, interpret the result, and draw conclusions. You take a small example. Okay, first when you are identifying the problem, the example that we have taken here is as reinforcement improve learning. Reinforcement means, in simple terms, it means encouragement. Okay, does encouragement improve learning? So this is the problem that we have identified and we are thinking to study on this particular problem. Example, the second step is formulation of hypothesis. So what you will do, we are assuming something. Okay, blindly we are assuming something, then we will prove that later. Student who will receive the reinforcement will learn. Reinforcement means encouragement, will learn better than those who don't receive the reinforcement. Okay, so we are simply making a statement here without any we have not proved the statement yet, we are simply blindly making an assumption. Okay, the third step is selection of participant. Okay, a group of students are selected from any school. Okay, so in this process, care should be taken to ensure fairness and representativeness. That means every student, that a student with every quality should be included in that particular group. Okay, and fairness should be there. That means no partiality should be there. Bias should be avoided. Then the step 4 is formation of experimental and control group. So experiment, the group that receives the treatment is the experimental group and the group that remains constant is the control group. Okay, then you have to control the variables. That means you have to control the variables like age, intelligence, time of instruction and learning environment. All these should be taken care of. That is, in the particular group, that particular age group only should be taken. That particular age students only should be taken. And one particular group, one particular level of intelligence only should be taken. Okay, so all these variables should be controlled, okay, according to the experiment. Then administration of the treatment. Okay, so we are using a new teaching method in this particular group of students. Okay, and this new teaching method is only applied on the experimental group. The control groups remains constant. That the old teaching methods only are continued for the control group. Okay, then the next one is observation and data collection. This where the teacher can employ various methods of data collection like tests, scores, checklists and observation. And then the eighth step is analysis of data. Okay, the researcher will compare the performance of both the groups. Then interpretation. Okay, the researcher will determine whether the hypothesis that we have made in the starting is true or false. Then the researcher will draw conclusions. Okay, what are the advantages of experimental method? It is highly scientific. Okay, it has a certain set of rules. It has a certain set of, you know, um, predetermined rules that the researcher should follow. So it is highly scientific. It establishes cause and effect relationship. The results which are obtained are highly accurate and there is objectivity in the results. That means the results are based on certain strong evidence rather than opinions or assumptions. And the findings or the results are reliable and it is used for educational research. Now, what are the limitations? This is occurring in artificial conditions. Okay, the conditions are controlled by the researcher. It is difficult to control all the variables. Since we are taking a large group of students, it is very difficult to, control the variables with respect to all those students. It is time consuming, it is expensive, and it has ethical limitations. Okay, then human behavior is always complex and unpredictable. So all these are the limitations of this method. The next important method is interview method. Explain its merits, demerits, and types of interviews. So it is a most important method. It helps us to understand the person's thoughts, feelings, attitude, opinions, experiences, and problem through a direct conversation. Okay, this teacher, psychologists, counselors use it to understand the learners more effectively. It is a face-to-face interaction. It provides deeper and detailed information. So the word interview means meeting between two or more persons for obtaining information for obtaining information. Okay, one person asks questions and other person answers them. What are the characteristics? It is a face-to-face interaction. It is verbal communication. And there is a purposeful conversation. That means the conversation revolves around a specific objective. It is a flexible method and collection of detailed information. What are the types of interviews? First one is structured interviews. It follows a fixed set of questions which are prepared in advance. Okay, it has pre-planned questions and it has same set of questions for all the people who are being analyzed, and there is little flexibility, and then there is easy comparison of responses. Since the same questions are asked for every participant, it is easy to compare. Then unstructured interview means it does not follow any fixed set of questions. The interviewer will ask questions according to the flow of the conversation. Okay, it is flexible and open-ended questions are there. The questions will depend upon the answer from the participants, and then there's a free discussion, and then detailed responses are recorded. Then semi-structured interview. It combines features of both structured and non-structured interviews. Some questions are predetermined and some questions are asked as and when needed. Then individual interview. Interview is conducted with one person at a time. Group interview. Interviews are conducted with several individuals simultaneously. Then formal interview. Formal interview is a interview which is conducted according to predetermined procedures in a fixed time. Okay, in a particular time, in a particular place, and according to predetermined procedure. It is very systematic and official in nature. Then informal interview. Okay, it is conducted in a casual and relaxed manner. That is, the atmosphere is friendly and it is in a natural environment. Okay, so these are the merits and demerits of the interview method. You can easily go through. These are the demerits. Okay. Then the next question is, what is case study? How can a teacher use case study to understand the learner? So every learner is unique. Okay. Every learner has his own. No two learners are same. Every learner has their own differences. Now, to understand such individual differences in depth, educational psychology uses case study method. Okay, case study is specific to one particular individual. Okay. this surveys, observation, or all the previously dealt methods, they deal with group of individual, large groups they deal with. But case study focuses on single individual or a single group at a specific situation, and it will take that specific situation and examine that particular situation thoroughly. Okay, some of the aspects that case study deals are learning difficulties, behavioral problems, emotional disturbances, and exceptional abilities, or any kind of adjustment problems. Okay, case study is an intensive and detailed study of an individual, group, institution, or a situation over a certain period of time. Okay, what are the characteristics of case study method? It is an intensive study. It is a holistic approach. It will study a person totally 360-degree study of a person. Then it is a long-term study. It is studied over a period of time. Then it is individual centered. It uses multiple sources of information. Then it is diagnostic in nature. That is, the interviewer will try to find out the problem of the individual. So these are the main objectives of the case study. And what are the steps involved in case study? First, identification of the problem. Then collection of the background information like family background, social environment, educational history, health history, etc. Then observation of the behavior. This observation is done in various settings like classroom, playground, group activities, etc. Then the person is interviewed. Okay, the respective persons are interviewed. Like if the case study requires interview with students, then students are interviewed. If it requires interview with parents or friends, then they are interviewed. So interview is conducted in fourth step. Then analysis of data. Then interpretation of the analyzed data. Then remedial measures. That is, if any further measures are required to be taken for the improvement of that particular person, then those steps are taken, like remedial coaching, counseling, motivation, parent guidance, etc. Then follow up is done. Simply the person is not left there. Okay, follow up, how the person is doing after the investigation is monitored. Okay, then what are the various sources of information in case study? How are the how is the information collected in case study? Through observation, interviews, school records, psychological tests, medical records, family history. Now, how can a teacher use case study to understand the learner? First, teacher will understand the learning difficulties with respect to reading, writing, maths, and language learning. Then the teacher will understand various behavioral problems associated with that student, like aggression, disobedience, hyperactivity, or withdrawal. That means a person is not involved in any activity. He sits silently always. Then the teacher will try to understand the emotional problems faced by the student, like anxiety, fear, stress, low self-esteem, etc. Then the teacher understands how the person adjusts socially, okay, with his classmates, teachers, and family members. Then teacher will identify gifted learners, that is, any learner with special talents, highly creative, and high intellectual ability. In understanding family influences, then providing the required guidance and counseling. Then planning of individualized instruction, that is, if a person is very slow, then the teacher will take him to one side and give him individual attention. If he is slow in maths, the teacher will take extra classes for that particular student for improvement in mathematics. Okay, these are the advantages and disadvantages of case study method. The next one is, what is questionnaire? Explain advantages, disadvantages, and types of questionnaire. Okay, so questionnaire is nothing but there are set of predetermined questions which are administered to a group of people to find out the required information. Okay, questionnaire is the most popular tool used in survey method. It helps in collecting information regarding people's opinion, attitude, interest, experience, beliefs, and behavior. Okay, it can reach many people at the same time. It is widely used in educational and psychological research. So a questionnaire is a list of carefully prepared questions given to respondents or the persons who are being interviewed for obtaining information about a particular topic. The respondents will read the question and record their answers correctly. Okay. What are the characteristics of a good questionnaire? It should be clear and simple. Whatever information the researcher wants to convey, he should convey it in a clear and simple manner. It should be relevant to the objective. It should be logical. It should be objective. That means it should avoid any personal bias. It should be brief and precise. It should be easy to answer. What are the types of questionnaires? Structured questionnaire. It contains predetermined questions which are arranged in a fixed order. Then unstructured questionnaire. It contains open-ended questions that which will allow the respondents to answer freely. That means the person who is answering the questionnaire can answer how much ever he wants in whatever way he wants. But in structured questionnaire, it is like yes or no, true or false. He has no choice of expressing his feelings in structured questionnaire. Whereas in unstructured, he can express his feelings and emotions freely. Then closed-end questionnaires. Okay, the questions have fixed answer choices like yes or no, true or false. Multiple choice questions is similar to structured questionnaire. Okay. Then open-ended questions. The respondents answer in their own words. Okay. They have freedom of expression, but it is very much time consuming. Okay. Then mixed questionnaire. It contains all both open-ended and closed-ended questions. Then what are the steps in preparing questionnaire? First, you have to define the objective. What you want to get, what information you want to get out of the people. Then you have to prepare the questionnaire. Then you have to arrange the questions in logical order. Then you have to pilot test. That means before giving the questionnaire to a large group of people, you should first test it on a smaller group. Okay. If the outcome is satisfactory, then you can give it to a larger group. Then final revision, then distribution of the questionnaire, then collection of the questionnaire and analysis. So these are the advantages of questionnaires. These are the disadvantages. They're very easy. That's why I am going quickly as the time is already 1 hour 15 minutes. I'm little going fast. Wherever explanation is required, I'm giving. Wherever extra time is required, I am spending. Okay. So this is the difference between questionnaire and an interview. People will get confused between questionnaire and interview. So they are different. Okay. Questionnaire is written. Interview is oral. Questionnaire, there is no direct contact between the whoever is conducting the questionnaire and the respondents. But this interview is face to face. Questionnaire is less expensive. Interview is more expensive. Questionnaire is suitable for large group of people. Interview is suitable for small group. There is limited clarification of if any doubts are there. Limited clarification is there. Whereas in interview, each and every doubt is clearly addressed. Okay. Here responses are less detailed. Here responses are more detailed. You have to remember this differences. Both are not same. Okay, this is a final comparative revision sheet that I have made for you all so that you can remember every method, survey method, all these methods that we have dealt before. Easily, if you want to remember, you can go through this chart. What are cross-sectional studies, longitudinal study, and sequential study? So, one of the most important objectives of education psychology is to understand how human beings grow and develop. So, psychologists are interested in studying these changes, okay, in the aspects of physical, cognitive, and emotional cognitive, emotional, and social development. Also, personality development across different stages of life. Okay, so there are three main approaches to study all these aspects. There are three main approaches, that is cross-sectional, longitudinal, and sequential studies. What is cross-sectional study? It is a research method in which individuals belonging to different age groups are studied at the same time. Okay, remember, different age groups are being studied at the same time. Okay, instead of following the same individuals for many years, researchers what they will do, they will compare different groups of people who are belonging to different age groups at the same time. Okay, so cross-sectional study is a method in which different age groups are being studied simultaneously to understand the developmental changes. Okay, example, a psychologist wants to study the development of memory among children. Okay, so he will take in his research study children, 6-year-old children, 8-year-old children, 10 years and 12 years old children. So he has taken 4 different types of age group children. Okay, at the same time he will compare all these four different age group children. Okay, then what are the characteristics? Different age groups are being studied and it is conducted one point at only one time. It is conducted at one point of time. It is a comparison method and it is a very fast method. So what are its advantages? It will save time, it is economical, and it is very easy to conduct, and it is useful in educational research. But what are its limitations? It does not study the actual growth. Okay, because different individuals are studied instead of same individuals, the study it will become difficult to study the actual growth patterns. Okay, so individual differences will affect the results, that is always there, and it is less accurate. Okay, so that is the sequential cross-sectional study. Many age group students, many age group people are studied at the same time. Next study is longitudinal study. Here, same individuals are studied repeatedly over long period of time. Same age group is taken and they are studied over a long period of time. Their time is fixed. Age groups are varying. Here, time is not fixed, but age group is same. You have to remember that. Okay, longitudinal study is a method in which same individuals are observed and studied over extended period of time to understand developmental changes. Okay, the researcher follows the same group of children at age 5. At age 5 he will conduct a long period of study. At age 8 he will conduct like 1-2 years of study. He will study only 8 years old children. He will study only 12 years old students for 2 to 3 years, very long time. Okay, now what are the characteristics of longitudinal studies? Same individuals are studied. It is a long-term study. It is direct observation of growth, like 5-year-old, how he grows over the period of time. Okay, so direct observation of growth. It will give detailed information. What are the advantages? It is accurate. It provides detailed information and it helps in identifying developmental patterns. Since he's taking only 5 years old student, 5-year-old children, he's studying only 5-year-old children over 2 to 3 years of time, let's say. So he can understand the growth of that particular 5-year-old student very properly, no? So it will help to identify developmental patterns. It is useful in cause and effect relationship. Okay, but it is very, what are its limitations? It is time consuming, expensive, and since it is carried for a long period of time, the participants may drop out, and it is very difficult to manage. Okay, he has to retain them over a long period of time, no? So it is difficult for him to manage the children. Then sequential study. Okay, sequential study combines both cross-sectional and longitudinal study. Okay, researchers will study different age groups for a long period of time. So it is combining both of them, different age groups and no long period of time. Okay, it is a research method that combines cross-sectional and longitudinal approach. Okay, a group of 6-year-old, he will take all age groups and he will take a very long period to study them. Okay, what are its characteristics? It is a combinational method. He will study multiple age groups and it is conducted over a period of time and it is more comprehensive. So it will have the characteristics of both longitudinal and cross-sectional. What are its advantages? More accurate results, better understanding of development. It reduces the weakness of other methods. Whatever limitations are there in both the other longitudinal and cross-sectional methods, this will cover up. Okay, comprehensive data collection. But what are its limitation? Expensive, and it involves a complex design. It is time consuming and it requires large amount of data. This is a comparative chart of all the three. You can go through.